Pashyami Vishwarameshwarupam Kiritanam Gadrinam Chakrinam Cha Tejo Rasim Sarvato Diptamantam Pashyami Tvam Durvisham Samadatat Diptanalakarnadritam Aprayam Tvamasharam Paramam Vedayam Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam Tvamavaya Sasvata Dharma Gupta Sanatana Sampurusho Matome Madhimadhyam Ananta Viryam Ananta Vahum Shasisurya Netram Pashyami Tvam Dikta Hutasha Vatram Swatejasa Vishwamidam Tapantam Daiva Prathuryo Yadam Antaramahi Vyaptam Tvayakena Dishascha Sarva Drishta Bhutam Rupam Ugram Tavedam Lokatrayam Pravritam Mahatmam Amihi Tvam Surasanga Vishanti Kechit Bhita Prajavelo Grananti Swasti Bhutta Maharishi Siddha Sangha Stuvanti Tvam Studi Prusha Pralapi Rudradya Visvoyechasaya Vishvesvino Marutascho Samascha Gandharva Yaksha Surasiddha Sangha Vikshante Tvam Vishmitaschaiva Sarve Rupam Mahadeva Bhuvakta Netram Mahabaho Bahurupam Bahudaram Bahudashtakaralam Drishva Loka Pravyatastataham Nagasrasham Diktamaneka Varnam Vyatanayam Dikta Vishala Netram Drishtva Hitvam Pravrihitantaratma Dedim Navidami Samam Cha Vishnu Drashtrakaralani Chate Mukhani Drishtva Kalana Samnibhani Disho na jane na labhe cha sarma Prasida devasya jagannivasa Ami cha tvam dristarasya saputra Sarve sahaivani nivala sanghe Bhishmo Drona Sutta Putra Tathasu Sahasamidhyar Apiyoda Mukhe Vatrena Jeva Ramana Vishanti Damshra Karalani Bhayanakani Kechid Vilagna Dashanantarishu Sadrashyante Churantitamanange Yatha Nadinam Bhavavam Bhuvega Samudrameva Vimukha Dravanti Tatha Tamina Loka Vira Vishanti Bhaktani Abhivijanti Yatha Pratiptam Jvalanam Patanga Vishanti Nasya Samrita Vivega Tadeva Nasya Vishanti Lokas Tava Vivaktrani Samrita Vega Yase Grama Samanta Lokan Samagran Vadine Jvalabhi Tejo Virapurya Jagat Samagram Vasastavogra Pratapanti Vishnu Akyani Meko Bhavanugra Rupo Namostu Devya Prasita Vrindatamikshami Havamadam Nahi Prajanami Tava Pavitram श्रीभगवानुवाच कालोऽस्मि लोकाक्षयकृत्य प्रभो लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋते विद्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे येव स्थिता प्रत्यनीकेषु योधः तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रुभुङ्क्ष राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहतं पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सचिन् द्रोणं च भीष्मं च जयद्रथं च कर्णं तथा यानलियोधवीरम् मया हतं स्वं च हिमाव्यतिष्ठ युध्यस्व चेतसि रणे सपत्नम् सञ्जय उवाच एतच्छ्रुत्वा वचनं केशवस्य कृताञ्जलिर्वेपमाक्रीति नमस्कृत्वा भूय एवाकृष्णं सदातनमिदमिदपरम्या अर्जुन उवाच स्थाने ऋषिकेश तव प्रज्ञा जगत्प्रसादनुयाते च रक्षांसि भीतानि दिशो द्रवन्ति सर्वे नमस्यन्ति च सिद्धसङ्घाः कस्माच्च तेन नमरन्महात्मन् गर्यसि ब्रह्मणोऽप्यधिकारते अनन्तदेव स जगन्निवास त्वमक्षरं सदसत्तत्परं यत् त्वमादिदेव पुरुषः पुराणस्त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् वेदासि वेद्यं च परं च धाम त्वया ततं विश्वमनन्तरूपा वैयुर्यमो वैर्वर्णशशङ्कः प्रजापतिस्त्वं परिब्रह्मश्च नमो नमस्ते सुसहस्य कृत्वा पुनश्च भूयोऽपि नमो नमस्ते नमः पुरस्तादथ प्रशस्ते नमोऽस्तु ते सर्वतः एव सर्वा अनन्तवीर्यामितविक्रमस्त्वं सर्वं समाप्नोषि ततोऽसि सर्वा सखेति मत्वा प्रसभं यदुक्तं हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति अजानता महिमानं तवेदं मया प्रमादात् प्रणयेन वापि यच्चावहस्त्रमसत्कृतोषि विहारशय्यासनभोजनेषु एकोऽथवाप्यच्युतसमक्षं तक्षामये त्वामहमप्रमेयम् पितासि लोकस्य चराचरस्य त्वमस्य पूज्यश्च गुरुर्गरीयम् न त्वत्समोऽस्ति अभिज्ञातोऽन्यो लोकत्रयापि अप्रीतिमर्हवः तस्मात् प्रणम्य प्रणिधाय कायं प्रसादे त्वामहमीशं नित्यम् पितेव पुत्रस्य सखेव सख्यो प्रिया प्रियायासि देव सोदम् अदृष्टपूर्वं हृष्टोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपं प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास कीर्तिनं गदिनं चक्रहस्तं इच्छामि त्वं द्रष्टुमहं तथैव तेनैव रूपेण चतुर्भुजेन सहस्रबाहो भव विश्वमूर्ते। श्रीभगवानुवाच मया प्रसन्नेन तवार्जुनेदं रूपं परं दर्शितमात्मयोगं तेजोमयं विश्वमनन्तमाद्यं यमे त्वदन्येन न दृष्टपूर्वम् न वेदयज्ञाध्ययनेन दाने न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रे एवं रूपा सत्य अहं नियोगे द्रष्टुं त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीरा मा ते व्यथा मा च विमूढभावो दृष्ट्वा रूपं घोरमिदं ममेदम् व्यक्तेदव्यक्तमनोहनस्त्वं तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य। सञ्जय उवाच इति अर्जुनं वसुदेवस्ततोऽप्य स्वकं रूपं दर्शयमशेषभूय आशास्यमस्य च भीतमेनं भूत्वा पुनः सौम्य वपुर्महात्मा। अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेदं मनुष्यं रूपं त्वां जनार्दन इदानीमस्मि संवृत्ता सचेता प्रकृतं गता। श्रीभगवानुवाच सुदुर्दशमिदं रूपं दृष्ट्वा हसियन्मम देवाप्रियस्य रूपस्य नित्यं दर्शनकाङ्क्षिणा। नाहं वेदेन तपसा न दानेन न चर्यया शक्य एवं विदो दृष्ट्वा हससि मां यथा भक्त्या शक्य अहम् एवं विदोऽर्जुन जन्तुं द्रष्टुं च तेन प्रविष्टं च परन्तप। मत्कर्म कृं मत्परमो मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः स मामेति पाण्डव। इति श्रीमहाभारते शतसहस्रयां संहितायां वैयासिक्यां भीष्मपर्वणि श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे विश्वरूपदर्शनयोगो नामैकादशोऽध्यायः।
अथ
द्वादशोऽध्यायः। अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तस्त्वां पर्युपासते यच्चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां ते योगवित्तमः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेशमनो ये मां नित्यायुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया प्रयोपेतास्ते मे युक्तात्मा ये त्वमक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कुटस्थमचलं ध्रुवं सन्न्यायविन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धया ते प्रभवन्ति ममेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहावयविरवर्तते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यासमत्पराः Anyayeva yogena mam dryantamupassate Teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha maya vesita chetasam maya eva manadhasva mayi buddhim nivasaya nivasyasyasi mayi eva ata udvam na samsayam Akachittam samasvatum nasantosmi mayi stiram abhyasa yogena tato mamikshaptum dhananjaya abhyasevena samprasi matkarma paramo bhava madartham api karmani kurvam siddhim avashyasi Athayadami yakshaksus kartum madyogamashitaha sarva karma phalatyagam tatha kuru yatham Shreyo hi jnanamabhyasat jnanadhanam vishashyate jnanat karma phalatyagas tyagas chandiranantaram Advista sarva bhutanam maitra karuna eva cha nirmano niharantara samadukha sukha shami santushta satatam yogi yatva krita nishchaya mayadvita manubuddhir yomad bhakta same priya Yasmano vijate loko, lokanno vijate chaya, harshamasha bhayodege, mukto yasa cha me priya. Anepeksha suchidraksha, udasino gata vetaha, sarvarambha praityagi, yomad bhakta same priya. Yo na harshati na drishti, na sochati na kanchati, subha subha parityagi, bhakti mamya same priya. Samsastru chamidrecha, tatha manapamamyayo, sitoshna sukha dukeshu, samasanga vivajitaha. Tulya nindastutir mauni santushto yena kena chet anekata sritamatir bhaktai mame priyo naraha yetu dharma ratam idam yathoktam paripasate shraddhanama parma bhaktasve me priya Iti Shri Mahabharate Sata Sahasryam Samhitayam Vaishyasyam Vishma Purvani Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supnishastu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Bhakti Yogo Nama Dvadasho Adhyayaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So seeking the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, I'll try and say a few words on chapter 10 Bhagavad Gita. In his commentary purport to text 1 of chapter 10, Srila Prabhupada provides a very nice overview. So I think I'll read something from Srila Prabhupada. So this is chapter 10, text 1, purport. And I won't read the whole purport, but I'm just going to read from a section where Srila Prabhupada begins to, he gives a, I think this will be a nice introduction to a summary. So, chapter 10 begins, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Bhuya Eva Mahabaho, Shruno Me Paramam Vachaha, Yat Te Aham Priyamanaya Vakshyami Hita Kam Yaya. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, Almighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Purport: The word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parashara Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now, in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here Srila Prabhupada explains how in 10th chapter we get a summary of the Lord's opulences. Vibhuti Yoga. The Vibhutis, the opulences of Krishna. And he's doing this for the benefit of his friend Arjuna, and through benefiting his dear friend Arjuna, he's trying to benefit all of us, because Krishna is such a person that he is all good, all kind, and all loving at all times, and there is nothing else but that in his being. He is Leela Purushottama, he is the person who performs the most wonderful pastimes, and he is Prema Purushottama, he is the person who is full of prema. And his love is for his devotees. There are these two things. The shelter of love, that is where the place where love resides, in the heart of the bhakta, of the devotee, and then the place where that love goes, the Vishaya, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from the devotee side, the devotee holds prema, love, in the heart, and that is given to Krishna. And from Krishna's side, Krishna holds love, prema, in his heart, and he wants to give it to his devotee. And that is essentially all that is going on with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is all about showing love and giving love to his devotees. So he's Leela Purushottama. Leela is the act of demonstrating his love for his devotees. So out of his love for Arjuna, and his love for all of the devotees in the material world, sadhakas, Krishna manifests his pastimes to benefit the sadhakas, to benefit the devotees in the material world. And the devotees in the material world, they're always acting to benefit all of the fallen conditioned souls. And by the mercy of devotees, we come in contact with bhakti, we come in contact with devotees, we come in contact with Krishna. And through devotees, we can also experience Krishna's love. And as our relationship, as our connection is established with Krishna, we also experience Krishna's love. So Krishna now wants Arjuna to be connected with, to be able to show how to be connected with him always. When Krishna left Vrindavan, he sent Uddhava back to Vrindavan. He sent Uddhava back to Vrindavan because Vrindavan is the place where this love of Krishna is at its fullest extent. It's where there is no limit to it. It is where there's no barrier to the flow of love between the devotee and the Lord. There's no restriction. The love of the residents of Vrindavan is such that they don't really consider who Krishna is. They don't consider what Krishna is. Their only consideration is who he is as a person. They love him for who he is, not for what he is as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And their love is such that it's so strong that it overpowers any sense of his great potency and power, to the extent that even when he displays it, like at the moment we're reminded of Govardhan Leela and Indra's deluge, even when he does such amazing things as manifesting opulences and lifting Giriraj, still they don't allow that. Their love is so strong for who he is that they don't even consider his great opulences, even when they're being displayed. It's not that they don't have complete knowledge, tattva-gyan, of who Krishna is. It's just that their love is so strong that it completely overpowers it. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur gives a nice example. He says that to keep milk fresh, I've seen this on a boat in Mayapur going from Navadvip, what they call Navadvip town, across to the other side. They are holding milk in containers, and then they had these strips of bamboo leaf inside the milk to keep it fresh. to keep it fresh. Sometimes it's coming out a little bit also from the container. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that their love is such that it's like that when that leaf is in the milk to keep it fresh, because when the milk is moving around, you can't really see the leaf. The milk is so strong. The milk is more prominent than the leaf. You don't even see it really. It's in there. This one that I saw in Mayapur is very prominent. But his example is that it's in there, but you don't really see it. So he explains that their appreciation of Krishna's opulences is like that. That it's present, but their love is so strong that it completely overpowers it at all times. When Mother Yashoda was looking at Krishna, holding up the hill, her anxiety for Krishna as her son completely overwhelmed her. Any sense of, oh, I don't need to worry because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's holding up all the universes. All things are manifested from him. Her love for who he is as such a sweet, loving, kind, naughty boy overpowered all of that. So much so that she was had that concern for Krishna's well-being in that situation. So such is the nature of love for Krishna that it can even overpower awareness of what Krishna is. So Vrindavan is that place where that type of love pervades. And here Krishna in 10th canto is explaining his opulences. Why is he doing that? So that we can always remain connected with him, so that we can always be reminded of Krishna. I was saying earlier that Uddhava went back to Vrindavan. When he went back, he tried to explain to the residents of Vrindavan that you can always be in connection with Krishna because Krishna is everywhere and everything is a manifestation of Krishna. For them, they weren't so much interested in that, in hearing that from him. They kind of rejected that. You know, they said, oh, well, that's all very well for you, but for us, he's different. Now, for us, as sadhakas, conditioned souls, who are by nature in the bodily concept of life, always thinking, putting our bodily considerations first, putting ourselves first before Krishna, developing love for Krishna. We have to tip that balance where our love for Krishna overpowers our self-centered consciousness. And that's the practice of sadhana, and that is our cultivation of always trying to act to please Krishna in bhakti, in everything we do. All of our activities should be governed by rules and regulations of bhakti and the rules and regulations of dharma that support bhakti. Why? To remember Krishna always. That's the purpose of following all these rules and regulations and doing it all, is to be absorbed in Krishna. If we're doing it all, but we're not absorbed in Krishna, then the real point of all the rules and regulations and everything is missed. So this knowledge in 10th canto, 10th chapter, Sambandha Gyan, it gives us relationship and connection with Krishna. We can learn how to see Krishna in his creation and how to always be reminded of Krishna. Because everything actually is a manifestation of him and his energy. There's nothing other than Krishna. That's all there is. Existence means Krishna. Krishna's energy transforms to manifest all of the varieties in the material energy, in the material world, Prakriti, which is a reflection of the reality, which is the Swarup Shakti of Krishna, the internal potency of Krishna, which is manifest as the spiritual reality, the spiritual world, the Lord and all of his associates, and all of the varieties of existence in that dham, in that abode. So, by connecting, through transcendental knowledge, our intelligence is connected with Krishna. Our connection with Krishna is made through tattva-gyan, through knowledge. And by that knowledge, we are brought into remembrance of Krishna. That knowledge of Krishna is also non-different from Krishna. It's his inherent attribute. It's an inherent attribute of bhakti. So it's natural to always remember Krishna. And this knowledge in 10th chapter is there to strengthen our remembrance of Krishna. So that when we taste water, we remember Krishna. When we see the sun and the moon, we remember Krishna. When we see that the potency from the moon is nourishing all existence, we remember how Krishna's moon-like the cooling effect of Krishna's mercy is nourishing our hearts, giving us great hope. What's that great hope that the devotee carries? That one day I'll be able to serve Krishna like his loving devotees do. In fact, as we hear more and more about Krishna, as we hear about how Krishna interacts so sweetly with his devotees, we become inspired to experience that. And it becomes a contrast to our experience in the material world, which is a place of suffering, which is a temporary place. All of the manifestations of Krishna's potencies here, they come and they go. Krishna's prakriti is eternal, but the manifestations of objects within the world, they come and go. Everything in the world comes and goes. So it's temporary. But it can remind us of the permanent, the real form of these objects. Where is the real form of existence? The real forms and the real varieties of existence are manifest in Krishna's Swarup Shakti in the spiritual world. So when we see a cloud here, we can remember a cloud there. When we see a tree here, we remember a tree there. When we see a relationship between living beings here, we can remember a relationship between the Lord and his devotees there. This knowledge of 10th chapter Gita, it reminds us and it gives us that sambandha gyan. That everything is a manifestation of Krishna's attributes. These are Krishna's attributes manifested in this world through his prakriti, separated bina prakriti ashtada, his separated material energy. This is not the place where we will find love for Krishna. Our desire for love will never be fulfilled by any object in this world. The desire is way bigger than anything in this world. Only the unlimited expanse of Krishna's reciprocation can actually nourish and satisfy the heart. So we don't put our attachment onto the objects of this world because we know they're Krishna's potency, they're to be engaged in Krishna's service. But we appreciate them as manifestations of the Lord. We're grateful for them and everything we have in Krishna's service, and let it be udipan, a stimulus for our remembrance of Krishna in any condition. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said to us in Soho Street, he said, you're in Soho Street. Soho Street Temple is in Soho, central London. It's a very busy place. It's like a very difficult place to think of anything that kind of connects you to Vrindavan. Like when you look out here, you can see trees and you can see clouds and you can remember Vrindavan easily. But in Soho Street, it's just buses and concrete and people, busy people and high-rise buildings. He said, but even here, you should see this big road, Oxford Street. You should think of it as the River Yamuna. He said you should see the big red buses going down the street, up and down all day. He said you should think of those as, either you could think of them, Krishna's got red cows. He said you could think of them as cows going up and down on the path in Vrindavan as Krishna goes for the day in the morning and comes back in the evening. Or you could think of them as boats in the River Yamuna. There's a little park in Soho Street. He said, yeah, you can think of this place as the place where Krishna likes to, Nidhuvan. He said you could. So in this way, in all the places around London, he said you can use them as stimulus for remember Vrindavan. So this is the point, that we connect everything with Krishna, because everything is connected with Krishna. So this knowledge, it brings us into appreciation of rasa, appreciation of Krishna. Rasa is a very high thing experienced by devotees on a very high platform of bhakti. But as sadhakas, we should attune our hearts to the appreciation of that. And by a sensitive heart, that is attuned to appreciating Krishna's kindness to his devotees, a sensitive heart that is attuned to appreciating the exchanges of love between Krishna and his devotees, that following that and carrying that anxiety, like Srila Prabhupada says here very nicely, expresses this greed for Krishna consciousness. He says, those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. So the contrast of spiritual relationships with the Lord and his associates and this world and its temporary suffering nature, surely that awareness makes us anxious. Let me have that. This is not the place for that. This is not the place to invest my heart. Everything here is to be appreciated as Krishna's opulence, and let it remind me of there, and let me put my whole heart there, my whole aspiration there. Let me pin my hopes, pin my aspirations there, because if I pin them here, they're sure to crush the heart. So Krishna is always bringing his devotees slowly back home, back to Godhead. And here in this 10th chapter, he's encouraging us to always remember him in everything we see of this world, which is non-different from him in terms of it being his energy. I'll stop there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhuji, it's very nice to hear from you. Please explain next chapter as well.
No, please, Prabhuji. I've said a few words and I've done my little saving here, and I'm very grateful to thank you for your good wishes, and feel very humbled to be trying to say a few words in front of all these senior Vaishnavas as well. So I'm very happy. Thank you very much. Prabhu, please say a few words on the 11th chapter. It'd be very nice to hear also. Thank you. Hare Krishna.